All right.
Hey, man.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we are recording.
Awesome.
Welcome to the Dangerzone.
Thank you, brother.
I'm here in the great city of Dallas and the great state of Texas at Extreme Iron Pro Gym. And I'm sitting down with Mark Madole today.
Thank you, Daniel.
And today we're going to talk about the topic of it is pushing yourself beyond your limitations. But before we get to that, let's introduce yourself and tell a little bit about yourself.
Man, I've been in the industry for a long time. Came to Dallas in 1988, was brought down here by Dallas Sports Club Management. Prior to that, I had extensive career as a defensive line and strength conditioning coach. Came to Dallas, went to work for Dallas Sports Club Management during my tenure with them. Got hired on the very first Nike Training Elite team, where I helped train trainers and coaches be better trainers and coaches. Went to work for Shape Magazine. Had extensive experience in helping co-write certifications for trainers. Started my own gym, training and performance center, the studio, in '95, which I recently sold to Michael Scatia, which has changed to Extreme Studio Performance. Awesome facility. Opened this Extreme Iron Pro Gym in December of 2015. I'm more of an operator now. I still do training and coaching, but not as much. My focus is the growth of Extreme Iron Pro Gym, creating an environment where people can push themselves safely and achieve their goals. And here I am.
Awesome. So let's go into how you and I met back at the studio.
Oh, man. Excuse me. So a little bit of a backstory. I guess it was kind of like my midlife crisis. And I don't want to say this from an arrogant standpoint, but I think all of us go to a point in our lives where we're like, man, are we as good as people say we are? I just hadn't been challenged in a long time. And it wasn't that I was on autopilot. It just, I was still getting accolades that I achieved as a much younger trainer, much younger coach. And I was just kind of asking myself, do I still have a seat at the table because I'm the oldest stinking guy in the room? Or am I still earning it? So, a mutual friend of Sam and I didn't know Sam from Adam at the time, and the guy said, "Hey, I've got a friend. Do you think you can help him?"
Yeah, Sam is my older brother. If you've heard
Sam
the
Brown.
other podcast, you're already familiar with him.
The great Sam Brown. And when I saw and it was a little understated to me what Sam's obstacles and hurdles were. So when he walked in, I was like, dude, this is it. And so selfishly, we created a relationship, and it's kind of crazy because, Sam was what I was looking for. And man, Sam and I just clicked. It's like I'd known the guy forever. And, we go through life and we meet people and you cultivate those relationships. And I mean, I have to remind myself, I know Sam for like 3 years.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've known him forever. Yeah. And, he's just, Sam Brown is a good friend of mine, not just a friend. Yeah. Good friend. I love the dude. Love the dude.
I do too.
So I got a man crush on Sam Brown.
Yeah.
But subsequently we created a lot of momentum, put some size on. I mean, Sam was rocking, and then he said, "Hey, my younger brother's coming to Dallas. He's had some issues." And he kind of lightly painted around. Well, he got blown up a couple of times.
Yeah.
Kind of like, hey, man, could you pass me the ketchup? I mean, It was real casual. And I'm like, what? Hang on, blown up. And when you came, it was a whole different deal because, number one, you can see how you and Sam, you guys are brothers and you guys are blood, but it's like you guys are best friends.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a different, I hope my sons are like that.
Yeah.
As a father, you would say, wow, those guys are tight. And you guys got this crazy bond. It's cool. It's very cool. But he was like, man, can you try to help my brother? And we need to get Daniel to a better spot. But I could tell watching you, things weren't right.
Yeah.
Your gait was off. You would trip. You would drop foot. I'd be listening to you and you would just end your sentences, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
or just be abrupt.
Yeah.
And it was tough because, we're dealing with a head injury. And when I'm not a doctor, I'm not qualified to deal with brain trauma, but you'll never meet a strength coach or a trainer that's worth his weight in anything, want to take the challenge on.
Yeah.
So, we worked a little bit, and you went to the hyperbaric.
The Cerebrum Center here,
Yep.
here in Dallas, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It was like night and day when you came back, and it was like when you came back, you were a different Daniel Brown. And then, your persona is a lot different than your brother's, to say the least.
Yeah.
But, we were kind of searching, and we got you hooked up into the strongman, which you immediately kicked ass. And, I could tell right away, your mission was going to be different. Your road was going to be different. It's like Sam's clean cut.
Yeah.
Looks great in a polo.
Yeah.
You're Sons of Anarchy.
Yep.
Okay.
A little more on the savage side.
Yep.
Or feral side, if you
Highland Park meets Stockton, California.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stockton, Nate Diaz. But you know what? It was like we were on a mission to get you to where, your passion to reclaim your fitness and your strength was pretty intense. So, we started training together, and, here we are.
Yeah. And that curvetails perfectly into, pushing yourself beyond limitations, which is what we're going to talk about today.
Right.
Is the last thing you said there was, we had set this goal of, I want to be strong. I want to be super strong. I want to be stronger than I was before I got blown up a bunch of times. As Sam put it, as saying, "Hey, pass the catch up." Dan got blown up a couple times.
Yeah, he got blown up, man.
Yeah, so that was coming out for me, transitioning out. I knew when I was going through the process of getting medically retired out of the military.
Right.
You're doing tons of appointments. You're seeing all kinds of different specialists. You're going through the process of leaving this life that you've been going 100 miles an hour at.
Correct.
And there's all this uncertainty, but also just during that treatment phase of them trying to figure out what's going on. A lot of it's diagnostic. Some of it's like therapy where you're trying to get some retraining of your brain done and all that. But ultimately, a lot of it's just recording. And when they're going to the medical retirement mode, they're like, okay, let's just figure out where this guy's at.
Right.
And kind of get that documented. And so within that, they don't want you doing much.
No,
to disturb what's going on. They want like a pure look at what's going on. And so I had gotten out of shape.
Yep.
You
were heavy.
I'd gotten out of shape. The other thing was they don't want you doing much. They didn't want me lifting. They didn't want me running. All that stuff. They're like, hey, this will cause migraines. And we want to see if we can stop your migraines. We're trying all these different methods to see how we can stop them.
I remember, man, they were pretty strict protocol on doing zero. And okay, so think about, so we're training, and I believe it's early winter. It could be before. It's around Thanksgiving.
Cold, yeah.
And you're frustrated. You're pissed. And I'm like, well, dude, here's the deal. It's a process. We can take the dial down, but you got to be okay with you to get through this, so you can get the medical information you're going to need to move on with the rest of your life. That was tough, man, because that was like, trying to get you in this headlock and saying, no, it's like I felt like I had a 6-inch leash on a 200-pound pit bull. You know what I mean? Because
I can see that now.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but you're not good, considering your military career, not real good at being told what to do.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, I'm going to do this. But I think for you, it was just creating a process for you that made sense.
Yeah.
That made sense. Okay,
And do
we're going to do A,
safely.
B, C, D. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And if you remember, there was just a lot of things you wanted to do that I'm like, probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
Probably not
Yeah.
a good idea. But I think a lot of times, our role as a coach or trainer is to, nope, stop. Got it. Nope, we're not doing that. Nope, that's not going to be good for you.
Yeah.
And that's harder. That's harder to stop a motivated person than to get an unmotivated person to produce action. It really is, because it's you and especially with you and Sam being former military. How do you become the authority figure to the authority figure?
Right.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. So it's got to make sense. It's got to be clear. It's got to be done respectfully. It's got to be done with a huge amount of give a shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Or it's got to be organic. It's got to be real. Or I'm not doing it. And not only am I not doing it, I'm out.
Yeah.
And it was tough. I think it was a little tougher than you might recall.
I think for, because part of this is explaining the Iron Military Program. We're going to get to that, but
Right.
just something that helped me in that process was relaxing and just kind of saying, because I was coming in and hey, I'm tired of being out of shape. I'm tired of being limited by these migraines and these injuries. I'm ready to push past it like I have in my career, just pushing through everything, and then I thought I was just going to come in and do that, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then, but you did. You said, hey, we gotta do this a certain way. You gotta kind of chill out. And it was when I decided to relax and just say, you know what, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do exactly what he says to the T.
Right.
And I'm not even going to try and think beyond that, or what I should be doing, or that I have to have the control. When I let loose, that's when all the improvements started happening. It was just like boom, boom, boom.
Funny how that works, huh?
Yeah. It was just like
how that works.
I was getting real shot, and I was like, you know what? And it was amazing how quickly I noticed. I was like, this is really working. Just me turning my brain off and doing what Mark says. That seems to be working very quickly, and I'm just going to continue to do that.
Well, we had that conversation. I said, hey man, if you just get out of your own way.
Yeah. Yep.
And a lot of it is, I'm 57. I'll be 58 in October. I mean, God, dog, I've made so many mistakes, in mistakes through communication and not knowing how to communicate correctly, and, misinterpreting when to push hard and when to chill a little bit. So for me, it was okay. How do we keep this intensity? Because it was funny because I was like, people would say, oh, excuse me, Sam and Daniel are such good guys. And I'm thinking, they're trained killers.
Yeah.
They are the dudes that Jack Nicholson said, you need me on that wall. You want me on that wall. Those are you guys.
Yeah.
And you veil it with, you're very polite. And you guys are good guys. And you are good guys. But you guys have been trained to flip the switch. That creates an incredible challenge for someone like myself, lifetime civilian, benefiting from the military's hard work of maintaining our ability to have freedoms and choices. I only have one chance to get it right.
Yeah.
Only one. And so when you speak, you got to know what the hell you're talking about, and you can't sprinkle it with bullshit, the fake it till you make it. Yeah. So, the challenge was tough because I was like, okay, listen, bro, you just chill. We're going to get this done. But then it was creating program design where you would go, man, I feel better. I see I'm getting better, and it makes sense. I think too many times guys who aren't qualified, and I'm going to try to articulate this in a way where, I can't come off as Billy Badass to Billy Badass.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, jumped out of planes. I haven't.
Yeah.
Not going to jump out of a plane.
Yeah.
You've been in combat. I haven't. You not only can fire a gun, but put a gun together. I don't.
Yeah.
And it's just, on the John Wayne list, man, I got a lot of open space. You check mark. So I have to go back to what I know, and then know that my knowledge is a tool to get you to where you want to go, and then you approach it accordingly. And so I think where a lot of guys miss the boat, it's not about being a tough guy. It's not about being this cartoonish type character.
Yeah.
You have to do a gut check. You have to be real. And like I said, you only get one shot at this. And since we started doing Iron Military, I've been able to meet individuals that are trying to help veterans as well. I've been trying, I get to sorry about that, brother.
No worries.
Getting to meet people that are doing things as well, trying to make the veteran community better, trying to make the veteran community stronger, trying to create avenues for improve health and fitness. But I've also gotten to see individuals where they go over the top because they're like, oh my God, I'm dealing with Sergeant Rock here. I've got to come off as, a tough guy, and I've got to. No, that's the farthest from the truth. You have to be genuine.
Yeah, I think from the veteran side of it, I appreciate somebody just being real with me. Just be yourself.
Yep.
You don't have to be anything else but yourself. I appreciate people putting themselves forward, and you can tell when somebody's layering it on, being fake or not.
Yeah, it's we got some great people in here that served and excuse me, fought for us, and it's to me, as well as my partner Pete Jackson, it's an honor to do this. It's an honor to give back. It's an honor to try to create something that does some good. Pete, feels very strongly about that, passion about that, and I mean, really, that passion helped create this gym. The one thing I've been able to see though is you've got to keep it simple. It's got to work. Okay, it's got to be easy. You got it easy to access. But I'm qualified for sets and reps. Excuse me. I'm qualified to work with sets and reps. I'm not qualified to deal with brain trauma. I'm not qualified to deal with prosthetics. But I can safely create programming that does no harm,
right,
to help.
Yeah.
One of my pet peeves, excuse me, the overqualified saying, well, you're not qualified to do this. Dude, we're lifting weights.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
We're lifting weights.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get involved. I'm going to ask for forgiveness more than I am permission. And I think doing nothing and bitching about it is just, that's horrible. That's just like such bullshit.
To go back to sort of my experience and, back to the topic of pushing past your limitations is, where would I have been at if I didn't start working out? I would have been sitting at home, still out of shape, getting the bad effects that come from that, which is you're not healthy, you're getting, depression can come from that. All kinds of stuff can come from just being in that stagnation.
Right.
And then guess what? I'm still dealing with the brain injury stuff. It's not going away. Right. So I'm still getting the migraines. I'm still getting, the dizziness, all that stuff. And it's still affecting my day-to-day life, but I'm also out of shape. So I think they're actually talking a lot in medicine now is instead of this like, hey, we've figured out what's best for the patient, right?
Right.
We think this guy needs to just never work out again, and maybe that'll help him like limit the amount of migraines he has or whatever. They're actually starting to switch and think more of medicine would work better on a personal basis, right? It's more of a relationship medicine between you and your doctor, where instead of them saying, hey, this is what the book says, you need to do these steps, is saying, hey, here's what the book says, what are your goals? What are you trying to achieve in your life? Because ultimately, it is each individual's life, right?
Right.
And so, instead of it's taking a much more personal approach to medicine as opposed to a sterile. Yeah.
Man, that's a whole
Yeah.
another topic. I've always believed that movement creates health.
Yep.
Okay, movement gets you stronger. You saw, when you and Sam were working out, Larry North was in here training.
Yeah.
Larry's one of the old school guys like myself. Very successful guy. What Larry did early on, being a personal trainer, writing books that got hundreds of thousands of people to lose weight and eat correctly, is mind-blowing. So when someone tells me, well, Larry's not a nutritionist, dude, I don't care.
Yeah.
He created a whole movement of people who got healthier.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the end result. I'm like, okay. So here's my point. When someone tells me, hey, my health practitioner or my doctor said, hey, do nothing. Okay. Why?
Yeah.
Well, if it's because you've sustained an injury and you need to chill out a little bit and kind of let, if you got surgery, let the surgery be more successful. But a lot of times it's because, hey, they just don't know.
Yeah.
And look at all the research on the brain. There's so much done in the last year, but it's like Star Trek. You know,
Yep.
Still the unexplored frontier.
Still the Matrix.
Man. So, the way I look at it is everything's a case-by-case deal. I think if you can move, you'll get better. I think if you can move, you'll create a sense of wellness in your own head. And for me, that's why I exercise. It's just like, man, I got to feel good. Yeah, can you be thinner? Yeah. Can you be in better shape? Yeah. Can you have bigger muscles? Yeah. Me, I just like getting out there and moving in the camaraderie that builds in the weight room. And see, that is the missing component I think a lot of people look at. Iron Military allows camaraderie.
Right.
It creates community. It creates where you're getting a bunch of people together, and it's like, hey, I sit and listen. I remember once there was a guy walked across the room, had a tattoo. He was a Ranger. Sam's like, Rangers lead the way. Dude walks by, doesn't look at him, anything, all the fucking way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, what's that mean? He's like, well, that's a thing. And it's being legitimate. Mm-hmm. But I listen to conversations. Hey, did you know so-and-so, he was with this battalion? Oh, yeah, he was airborne. Or, oh, yeah, he was in Air Force, but we still love him. Just all that. It brings back that sense of accomplishment.
Yep.
And that community. When you get all you guys together, you have a certain way of communicating and a whole different language. But what I see guys, they're standing up a little bit straighter.
Yep.
They got a smile. They belong to something again. So we're just trying to create a program where people can come get that brotherhood.
Yep.
And I'm not part of that brotherhood, okay?
Yeah.
But what I am a part of, I'm like, hey, man, I want to get it together and bring it in. And, I talk with Pete all the time, the challenges of that. Because there's guys in the community that, I'm an outsider.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't want to fucking talk to you, man. You got no idea what I went through. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. But you have no idea how much I can help. Give me a chance.
Yep.
And it's really just giving back to community.
Yeah.
I got 2 young men, 2 young boys. My wife, Devin, and I are trying to raise into men. Got a little girl, trying to raise her into a strong woman. You got to teach them they have to serve, to give back, to make it better than the way you found it. As a kid, we went camping with my dad. He's like, man, we got to leave this place better than how we found it.
Yep.
I didn't get it back then. I get it now. But, my motivation is completely selfish. I want to show my children the way to be successful adults.
Yeah.
My dad did the best he could, man, but he only had the tools he had that he got from his dad. His father died in prison.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
My dad's a PhD.
Mm-hmm.
He's a retired teacher, one of the most successful geologists in the history of the United States Geological Survey. I mean, in the academic world, my dad's Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Okay. And he did it all on his own. He was the first Madole to go to college. He was the first Madole to basically he wasn't a criminal.
Yeah.
His dad was a criminal. And I love my grandfather, but excuse me, there was, my dad wanted to change the cycle, and he did, and he got us out to Colorado, and he got us separated, and he raised us. He did the best he could. And my point is, he had more tools, or he didn't have the tools I had. And so I'm just trying to, get the next group of Madoles to where, they don't have to get like their dad. They don't have to get punched in the face 7 times before they figure out what the word duck means.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that my motivations are selfish, and but I got a great partner in Pete Jackson, and you and your brother have, god dang, helped tremendously. It's been a learning experience.
Yeah.
And as you know, I've taken my fair share of getting kicked in the nuts on this thing, but it's been nothing short of awesome.
So I would like to share the success story of doing that strongman competition.
Do it.
So everything building up to that, it was, we came in with this goal. I think the way I put it to you, you kind of asked like, hey, what are you looking to do? And I was like, I think my answer was something along the lines is, I want to be strong as fuck. I want to be able to crush a man's skull with my hand.
Yep.
And
Conan.
And be super powerful. And so I think you kind of clued in, and you could see, hey, down the road that falls in line with kind of strongman activity. Right. And you saw the potential there. And so once you mentioned it, I had already been seeing strongman stuff, and I had already been thinking about doing it. And it was just like you mentioned it was like, yeah, it just made sense.
Right.
And that was just a perfect goal, because ultimately my goal was, yes, I want to be strong, but I wanted to be stronger than I was when I was in special operations at the top of my game, right?
Right.
And I was working out all the time, and the idea behind that was, a lot of times when people get injured or wounded in combat or just injured in life, they hold on to that who they were before, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they can't
100%.
move past the like we're talking about moving past limitations, is limiting yourself to that's who I was. I was this great, I was at this high level, and then I was busted down, right? And then it's what, life is over. And that's where I was making a decision. I was like, You know what? I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to accept the fact that just because I did something that people consider super special or, elite or this or that, that doesn't have to have that meaning to me. I'm going to just continue to try and be elite for myself throughout my entire life. Right.
Nope.
And so it's always about that next thing, moving forward. And that's why I set the goal is, okay, you know what? I may not be able to do all the stuff I did that I was in because of the brain injury, because of concussion stuff. Can't do any MMA fighting or anything like that. But what I can do is I can get stronger than I was when I was in. And you hooked me up with great training, and we pushed it, and I did that competition. And I'll tell you what, even in training, I started moving weight that I had never moved before in my life.
Oh, I saw it, dude. I saw it.
And I did that competition, and the competition, I wanted to win, but it was more about just doing it, and all the weight I lifted in that competition was more than I'd ever done in my life.
Oh, no, it was PR after PR
so
after
it was just a huge win mentally and personally for my life.
Right.
I could care less of the what everybody else was doing there. It was basically like it was all about me. Like it was me in that weight and who I was before, and I was competing against who I was before.
Right.
And guess what? I beat that guy. I'm better than that guy at lifting really heavy things.
So, I got you, dude.
So And I mean, I did win first place in the yoke carry, but
Dude, you killed it in the yoke carry.
But so that was huge, and I think that's what I would like. That's what I'm trying to share with others, and spreading the word of the Siren military is. And it's one of the reasons, honestly, I started this podcast is because I feel like I have this message of there is hope for the military guys that are having trouble with transition, that have been wounded, or let's say you got out 10 years ago and you hit a rough spot in life, and maybe you're trying to hold on to that guy you were. You can be a better guy now than that guy you were. And the nice thing about the gym, and it kind of falls into my 3 staples of the communities that I've found, which I think community is huge. All the stuff they're coming out with about tribalism and how we are is just how we're hardwired as human beings.
How we're wired, man.
And the gym for military guys specifically, something about it. You were hitting all about it. Is that community, that brotherhood, right? So not only are you finding that with the other veterans who are already here at Extreme Iron, right? You have a connection to the civilian populace. So instead of walking around feeling isolated and like, hey, nobody gets me because I was in the military, these civilians just don't get it.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? At this gym, you're meeting like-minded civilians. And I think that's where the community comes in, right? The brotherhood, yes, you have it from that type group from the military. But I think it's important to start building those relationships in the civilian community. This helps you evolve back into
teaches you
your civilian life.
Yeah.
And so what I've found that I've had success in building those relationships in the civilian community, because if you look at me now, I mean, just the fact that we're having this conversation like this is a big deal. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And it came from it was taking that edge off. I've been more comfortable around people because I'm finding like-minded people. If I just walk out here and go to, some grocery store, and I'm probably not going to find, there may be one person in there that I can find a commonality with. But if I search out a location like a gym, or the hunting communities work for me, the off-road community, you're finding like-minded people. And the good thing about the gym is you're finding people that are all, usually everybody that's at the gym, they're not just there to hang out. At least everybody's trying to better themselves in some way on their own levels.
Yeah,
right?
they're trying to get better. It's that strongman competition, you evolved.
Yeah,
you were kind of, without sounding too corny, reborn.
Yep,
you were, because you now became that guy you wanted to be. The competition wasn't so much about getting you to go be a competitive athlete in anything. It was to put you in the arena of where you were either first or you were placing. Mm-hmm. It was that got to do better. They kept score.
Yeah.
And in the military, they kept score. Did you come back in a body bag, or did you come back, walking in?
Yeah.
Okay. You come back, that's a win. When we first got you going, man, you were brutal. You were, excuse me, I called you Danimal for a reason, but I just think it was because you were uncomfortable with you. Mm-hmm. You were uncomfortable with you, and dude, you killed that strongman. You killed it. You came back a guy that was comfortable in his own skin.
Yep. And
you came back focused, and this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Because we sat down and we had that talk. You're like, listen, there's so much more I want to do than just strongman.
Yeah.
But here's, when we created Extreme Iron Pro Gym, I wanted to, and when I sat down with Pete, it was, hey, Extreme Iron Pro Gym, not Extreme Iron Pro Fitness. So we're a gym, which means we're not for everybody. We're for that individual that is really striving to be in an environment to improve. We'll give you as much tools as you can.
Yep.
The reality of it is there's so many choices. I understand CrossFit. CrossFit isn't about the high reps and wearing board shorts over your leggings and having a man bun. excuse me, CrossFit is about community. It brings a
Yeah.
ton of people together, man, and that's why it's so popular. But for me, like so many other people here, I like being in the weight room.
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm doing an Olympic lift or a power lift or doing a bodybuilding type workout. I like lifting weights. And so we create an environment for people who like to lift weights. You know, music, chalk, keep it clean. Give you an array of choices. There's really nothing we don't have. But when I say we're not for everybody, we're not. You know, and if you want classes, we're not your place, you know. And if you want trends, we're probably not for you. I mean, we're basic lift weights, and so many people are like, "Oh man,
But
your name is
basic,
too
I mean,
aggressive."
the equipment you have
I
in here
know.
is state of the art.
I know. You know, and I downplay that, but you know, at the end of the day, you either push it, press it, you know,
Yep.
squat it, lunge it. We just give you a multitude of choices. The crazy thing is 48.7% of our members are women because we have the best leg equipment in Texas. You know, we're a very well-equipped gym. My point is this: we created an environment for people who like being fitter, healthier through weights. But we're in the gym industry. You know, we're not in the fitness industry. We're in the gym industry. I'd say my old gym, you know, the studio, that was fitness, more fitness performance. We're fitness. If you like lifting weight, or we're gym. If you like that culture, we're for you.
Yeah.
And what I found was veterans relate to lifting weights.
Yeah.
Whether it's strongman, powerlifting, but they're at peace lifting weights. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we created. We created the absolute best environment. And then, you know, Respect Row is for a reason.
Yeah.
Where all the flags hang. And what's funny about that name came organically. It came through your guys' brotherhood. Man, I appreciate you set aside a whole row to show respect for us.
Yeah.
And that's where Respect Row came. And we'll get people that come in, hey man, I want to see your selfie wall, and can I get a picture of Respect Row? And I'm just like, I get goosebumps, you know, talking about it. But, you know, I still talk with a lot of parents, kids, athletes trying to get to school. But I also talk to a fair amount of parents whose the football road or wrestling road or lacrosse road has stopped. Yeah. They've gone as far as they're going to go in their career. And, hey, man, my son is interested in doing something competitive. And it's easy to talk to a parent about the benefits of strongman. Because it's a very, very athletic event. I don't think people realize how athletic you have to be to do it. And then there's powerlifting, which is a whole different type of athlete, but both are extremely disciplined. It's easier to explain to parents or coaches how they work, even Olympic lifting. And so we get a lot of parents that are like, hey, I'm sending my daughter to your facility, and they want to learn about strongman. They want to learn about powerlifting. And subsequently, what they learn about is about hard work, how to push through limitations.
Yep. Huge.
And they experience that community. They experience the community that all of us have created here.
That's awesome. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this one up because we could talk all day.
I got you, man.
And I think we've hit a lot of good points on the topic of, you know, pushing past limitations, and I thought of like 10 different topics we could do full podcasts on during this thing. But the last thing I would like to do is kind of put a challenge out there to veterans.
Okay.
And veterans of all types is give Extreme Iron, Pro Gym, and Iron Military a chance. And by that I mean, no matter where you are in the U.S., a lot of people travel through Dallas. They come here on business. If you're a veteran and you need a spot to come work out, come check out what we got going on here in the community and see what it's about, so you can go tell other people. Because ultimately, we need more veterans to come and check it out. And it's getting the word out there. That people don't know what they don't know, and there's many veterans in this huge, you know, metroplex that, you know, don't know Extreme Iron Pro Gym exists, or that there's the Iron Military program. So we're trying to get the word out there. hey, there's a community, we're moving in a positive direction. And that's the other thing I would say is it's good to be connected to your brotherhood, right? I still
Right.
keep in touch with all the guys I served with. I'm doing podcasts with them. I'm keeping connected to the brotherhood. But a lot of times we find ourselves as veterans, hey, let's get together and have drinks, right?
Right.
And so now it's good to get together, but I will say that's a slippery slope. You can get into some destructive behavior.
Yep.
And if you're not already back into a disciplined environment like a gym where you're working on a goal, right?
Right.
Working towards something positive, it can lead kind of down a destructive path. So that's the second challenge is, hey, let's not get a drink together. Meet up with me at Extreme Iron and
Let's go train, man.
Let's get a workout together.
Yep.
And let's talk about what are your goals in life. What are you trying to work towards, and let's watch that fall into place, because I've seen multiple veterans change while they're here, and
Heck yeah, man.
it's when sometimes it's hard in life when you hit these transitional spots where you're not sure of your future, right? And it's just kind of this fog, and if you just stay in it and you're lost, it can lead to all the depression and all these other things. But if you make a choice to just try and simplify it, and I think that's what's great about actually lifting weights is how simple it is.
Yep.
You're moving a weight from here to there and back, and there's something about that simplicity and like that I really enjoyed. Is I know simple input output. I'm putting this much into it, I'm getting that much out, and I'm seeing improvement, right?
Heck yeah,
and
man.
moving in that positive direction, it's amazing how everything else just starts, that fog just starts falling away, and all these other things just start coming in.
Just makes it better,
just
man.
start coming into play, and it's because you're on you're on the right path. You're moving in a positive direction. You're moving forward, and that's sort of my pitch and my challenges to veterans is, hey, you might not be in a bad spot. Hey, still come check it out.
Absolutely.
Get a good workout. This is a great facility.
Absolutely.
And then spread the word, because
Absolutely.
some other veteran might be out there in a bad spot, and he may need to know that this is here. So
No, 100%, man. I appreciate it, Daniel. Thanks, man.
yeah, but really enjoyed it. Why don't you tell people where they can find Extreme Iron Pro Gym on social media?
Go to extremeIronPG.com for our website, and then there's Extreme Iron PG on Facebook. You can go to Extreme Iron PG on Instagram, and then Mark at Extreme Iron Pro Gym. That's where you can get a hold of me. But you'll get information on all those spots. And then, we're located at 17390 Preston Road. Can't miss the sign. It's
Yeah.
big, between Frankfurt and Campbell, behind La Hacienda restaurant. But man, just come on in. We'd love to have you and love to show you what we could do for you.
Awesome, Mark. Well, I'm excited about sitting down again, and
Awesome.
Maybe we'll get
let's do
I
it
like
again.
the Facebook Live, but we'll also try
do it
the
again.
we'll try and get some YouTube Live, maybe get some people asking us questions while we're doing
Cool.
them and stuff like that.
Cool, man.
But appreciate you sitting down with me.
Awesome.
All right,
Thanks,
man.
Daniel.
Thanks.
All right, man.